Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel, where today we are going to be doing my June mid-month wrap-up. So we are going to be talking about everything that I read in the first 2 weeks of June. And it is a small list this time because I just haven't been reading as much, but the very first thing I did finish is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This is an adult murder mystery, and we are following our main character of Aiden Bishop, and he has to figure out who killed Evelyn Hardcastle, except he is going to be reliving the day of her death until he figures it out. And every day he wakes up in the body of a different party guest, and the story goes from there. Now, I have already done a full-length review that I will leave linked down below, and I'm not going to get too in-depth in this review, but I really liked this. This murder mystery storyline is very, very good. It is very detailed and intricate and just really interesting to watch it unfold, to watch all the different parts the interplay between the different parts of the story. I think that the atmosphere as well was done exceptionally well, but it did have some issues, namely that because there's so many details for that storyline, it did feel a lot like work trying to keep track of everything so that I would understand what's going on. I did not love how one of the host bodies was handled by the author. There's definitely some fat shaming in there. And the ending was like the ending of the murder mystery was great, but the ending of one of the subplots was bad. It was just, it irritated me so much. So yeah, it did not go off without a hitch, but overall, I still think it was very well done. I am looking forward to reading it again, especially as I know how like the details unfold, so I should be able to catch more on a reread. But I ended up giving this 4.5 stars overall. After that, I picked up Archie Volume 2, and then later in the month, I also picked up Archie Volume 3. This is written by Mark Waid and illustrated by a number of different artists, but this is an update and modernization of the old Archie comics. If you don't know the old Archie comics, it basically is just comics that follow our main character of Archie Andrews, who's a high school student, and like his gang of friends, Betty, the girl next door, Veronica, the girl that just moved to town, and Jughead, Archie's best friend since they were kids. And there's a whole lot of high school hijinks. Now, I really like this run on Archie because it's very clear that Mark Waid has a very good understanding of what made the Archie comics great, because that's what he included. And then a lot of the stuff that was just outdated and didn't really add anything, that got left behind. And I think that it was phenomenally well done in that respect. The problem that I have with this is that I'm too old for these comics anymore, mostly because it is a lot of drama. Like, it's high school drama. I don't read YA contemporary for a reason, and it's primarily because like I didn't even like high school drama when I was in high school, and so watching it play out on page is just not my favorite thing. And the older I get, I find the less patience I have for it. So I didn't love the storylines of either of these. In volume 2, it's primarily about like Archie and Betty kind of figuring out how to deal with each other after they had a big fight, but they still haven't talked anything out, by the way. And so I'm sitting here in my old person self just being like, just talk to each other. Just talk to each other. It'll be so much better. And then in volume 3, we do meet Cheryl Blossom, who is not a nice person, and there is lots and lots of like drama around that too. Now, this is a reread, and so when I originally read it, I actually gave both of these 4 stars, and I'm gonna let that rating stand on Goodreads because I do think it is a very well done thing. It's just not for me anymore because my enjoyment was probably more like 3.5 to 3.75 stars. Still enjoying it, just not as much as I was hoping to. And then lastly, I did read Twisted, the Tangled History of Black Hair Culture by Emma Dabiri. This is a nonfiction book. It is a series of essays, and it is a lot. It's about black hair. I mean, that's really what it's about. And this I really struggled with, primarily for very like personal reasons. First up, the writing style of this is a little bit more formal and totally normal for nonfiction books. Like if you were to read this, you would completely recognize it, but it's a style that I personally struggle with. So I'll read a sentence and have to reread it multiple times to understand what is trying to be communicated to me. So I really was already kind of set up for this to be a struggle just because of that. Which, by the way, I don't like blame the book for. It's a very normal style. I don't know why I have so many problems with it. I just know that I do. But the other thing is that my knowledge of black hair, of black culture, is very spotty. So there's some things I know a lot about and a lot of stuff that I don't know much about. And it would have been much more helpful if I had a little bit more base of understanding prior to going into this book. And that's partially because of my issues with the writing style. So it's like I was trying to learn all this stuff about black hair and black culture while struggling with the writing style. And those two things together meant that it was honestly, this book was just hard for me to read. And I don't necessarily know that I got out of it what the author intended for me to get out of it. So, and then of course, like it is a series of essays. So it's not a straight up history. It's like using historical information to make a point, which is not quite what I wanted either. Now, this is a lot of stuff that is just very personal. And like, if I had done more research, I might have been able to figure out that maybe I should read a few other things first before I tried to tackle this book. So I didn't like, I'm not saying that it's a bad book. It's just, it wasn't the right book for where I am right now in my life, unfortunately. I did still learn quite a bit, and even the stuff that I know that there was stuff where I was like, I know I should be getting something out of this, and I'm just not because I don't understand some part of it. I'm still glad I read even that because honestly, I very much believe in the power of exposure. So I know that because I was exposed to it in this book, if and when I see it again, I'll be much more likely to understand, to be able to learn all of that great stuff. So I'm not sad that I read it. I just, I wish I had known because I would have put off reading this for a little bit longer so that I could get more out of it. Because everything is so, my problems with this book are so personal and not the fault of the book, I did not actually rate this book, and I have no intention of doing so. But that is it. That is everything that I read in the first 2 weeks. Like I said, it was a little bit slow, and that's okay. But that is it. So if you have any thoughts or feelings about anything that I read, leave me a comment down below, or just let me know what you have been reading lately. But that is all I have. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And until next time, have happy reading, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.